Now, I'll stay a little bit far away from the light. I'm delighted to be here, and I'm very grateful to the organizers for taking the risk of inviting a philosopher. This is a unique opportunity to make a complete fool of myself, talking about things that philosophers usually do not get involved with. Research and development, marketing, money. Would you trust a philosopher? The task that has been allocated to me is to provide some general framework so that we might more or less know where we stand. The point is not to agree, but the point is to know exactly where, if we do disagree, we disagree. So with that little sort of premise out of the way, let me just give you a very quick, super quick overview of my next 9 minutes. I shall tell you a little bit more about this chasm. You have a picture there, which I hope is sufficiently visible, but one more will come bigger. And try to let you know about a toy model, Matryoshka, how we can conceptualize some of the problems we're having in terms of things including other things. And I realized too late that the Russian example was particularly inappropriate. I shall then move to the point that has already been mentioned, how we cross the chasms, and whether that is a PowerPoint problem only or something in the real world. And what I believe might be the big challenge in a sort of conceptual way in the translation between research and development and marketing, whether we are losing something there, and whether that is due to a vicious dialectic. To conclude with a little bit about the EU as an environmental force of innovation, and because we have only 8 more minutes, it's going to be fast. So this is what we mean by Matryoshka, and the usual idea is that users are constrained by what business provides, which is constrained by law, which is constrained by an ecosystem, normally something that is too far away to take care of and to see. But that is the big doll that we need to take care of. So that's the general perspective that I want to try to convey to you today. How do we take care of the big doll? How can we possibly conceptualize and design that wider ecosystem? Well, this is a classic picture of the chasms. You have on the left-hand side innovators, early adopters, on the bottom right-hand side the laggards, and how do you move innovation from providing some bright ideas transform into smart applications? Well, crossing that particular chasms might look like just a PowerPoint problem, but it isn't. And I like to focus your attention, just call your attention to this slide. If anything is worth mentioning in this talk afterwards, this is the message. Look at the picture. You have research and development innovation, you have marketing business, economic growth, and the transformation there is thanks to Windows, because this has been made with an app. But you can read it anyway, and sometimes the problem we think is how to move through the C route, from research and innovation to economic growth. You hear a lot about that, especially in my own country, in the UK. And sometimes we forget that without the marketing business in the middle, there is no such thing. In other words, A plus B is the main mechanism for economic growth. C is not the problem. It cannot be the problem. There's no such thing as an automatic, natural production of economic growth with all the nice consequences we want to have at the end by investing heavily in research and development innovation only. That is equivalent to putting a lot of money in your account and doing nothing with that. It doesn't transform into business. It doesn't provide jobs. What is in the middle, and sometimes we forget, is the marketing and the business enterprise. That is where, at the moment, we are doing well in Europe, but we could do much better. Is there a problem there? The link between research and development in the lab down to the main street. So the problem seems to be an underused, sometimes low, but not necessarily, intellectual capital. Why that problem? Well, suppose you have that picture in mind. On one line, time as it goes by, and on the other line, the y-axis, the amount of untranslated wonderful ideas we have in this Europe of ours. What's happening there? Well, if you look at research and development, that generates economic advantage. However, economic advantage requires a marketing effort. The marketing effort is not always there because of the wrong environment, which therefore doesn't incentivize research development, economic advantage, marketing effort, and so on. In other words, to transform the investment into real advantage, what you need is a fruitful, conducive environment. Without that, you are into a vicious dialectic, into a vicious circle. The more research will simply accumulate on the shelves, as it happens in hundreds of universities, certainly in Europe, will never see the light of a shop. Now, how do you break that particular vicious circle? And I said, no, it's not all bad news. I mean, we do pretty well on this side of the world, but we could do much better. Well, here is an example. This is not a recipe, it's not a solution. That's what you find from the scoreboard, and those two are two quotations from the most recent evaluation of research and development in Europe. Volkswagen is doing incredibly well. In fact, is the leader in the world today in terms of research and development. And EU-based companies, they are outperforming our colleagues in the US in industrial engineering, aerospace, and defense. So we are doing very well. What lesson can we learn from here? Well, the lesson here is that we're doing well whenever internationalization provides the right environment so that all that wonderful research doesn't stay on the shelves. It moves through marketing and hits the market. It hits the street. So, as I said, it's not a solution, but it's an example of how you can break the vicious circle. You transform the environment, you make companies compete internationally. All of a sudden, all that wonderful research going on at Volkswagen becomes vital. It cannot stay in the lab. It will be grabbed the day it has been produced to make a difference in your market. The marketing doesn't have to have incentives. It's already incentivized enormously by the context. So internationalization is not a panacea, it's not a solution for anything, it's just an example of right environment. How do we build the right environment for other entities? What I just reported is about the big beast, I mean the Volkswagen in the world, the Samsung. But what about the small and medium enterprises? Well, in that case, if the environment is an issue, well then we also have a solution. You can start looking at the EU as an environmental force for innovation. And again, in this case, we have two alternatives which are not mutually exclusive. Europe here has to do both, if possible. On the one end, it needs to be an agent among many other agents. Think of a chessboard where all of a sudden you add an extra queen on your side. That makes a huge difference. That is Europe as an agent. It can provide investments with high capital intensity, high risks, longer time, something that no small or medium industry can actually do. But at the same time, if you allow me the chess example, Europe can also change the board. It can be an ecosystem because it can provide those resources, the human, the physical, the social conditions that make research and development more attractive and translatable. So on the whole, the short story is that what we need to focus, and remember the four Matryoshki, the very big doll is about design. Design of the conditions that make the ecosystem and the agent such that at the European level, research and development translates into real business advantage. It's doable, it's around the corner, we just need to do a little bit of extra thinking, and as I said, we're already doing pretty well. The point here that I would like to leave with you is the design of research and development friendly ecosystems cannot be achieved without all the stakeholders on board. It cannot be just a top-down sort of idea. We need the business agents that are expected to flourish in such environments, be part of that design, part of that environment. And with that message, thank you for your attention.